Hello and welcome back. As you can see, I got the clock face onto that tower there. I just copied that from the earlier Tri-ang model. If you have a look in the insert picture there, you can see I made a couple of variations and just cut out the lightest one in the end. I thought it seemed to look good, looked good. Excuse me, already losing my speech. Rather than having it plain white paper, I think it would just jump out a bit too much. So I copied the dirty paper, as it were, from the other one and left it looking a bit sort of distressed. So I think that suits it a little better. So I didn't get quite as much time with the railway this week as I was hoping, but I have developed the track, or the inner line as we'll probably call it now, and it runs right the way around the layout. I did get the odd building here and there placed on the railway in these underpass or subway sections there, which I was quite pleased with. So I've got quite a bit of track work down, and got through some more rail joiners. You certainly get through quite a few of those using this second-hand steel track. So the original rail joiners are well past it by the time we get to use them. So as you can see, I've got some rather dodgy looking track in use here. So no giggling at that, but it does the job at the moment. And I've got that line just coming off one of these curved points here, and I think we're going to lead that up to an engine shed. That's my plan. It comes around there. If I just pan around, we can see that. So I think we'll have a split in the track there, and we'll just have an engine shed in there, up to some buffers perhaps. And this is the rail which links to the outside line and the station, and I've got a crossover from there onto the new inner line. Excuse that noise, something just moved in the background in that pile of timber and things over there. I suddenly shifted and made a great big crack. So I've got the point set. We'll get a locomotive out on the rails in a moment and have a swift look at it running around. And I realised last week's video was rather long. My attempt this week is to have a much shorter video. It's just more of an update on what I've done really, and just followed that around, and it just follows around the outside line. I've got a crossover there. I forgot to point out when we're looking at the dodgy rail joiners back there that I've got a bit of flexi track in. I have just decided to use that because it's easy to cut, really easy to cut, and there's a really nice tool which cuts through it, just like scissors through paper really. And also I haven't got very much steel track left, so I didn't want to start cutting it unnecessarily. And I had a couple of lengths of this from my old layout, so I've just sort of started using it up in these little inconvenient spots really, and it's worked quite well. So that runs around there quite nicely, and we're going to have a swift look at a couple of bits of this earlier System 6 track, because the System 6 track I am using is probably more late 70s, early 80s, rather than this original half sleeper end stuff. This is an ad. I bought it for not very much, I think £1.50 or something from eBay. I think it's from the Meccano magazine from 1970. This is new System 6 track by Tri-ang Hornby. Quite a nice thing. We'll have a closer look at that in a moment. I'll just follow around the railway a bit more. I still haven't got the another catenary base in there to hold that mast. I also took another one out. Let's just pan back around. I need to fix that one in there. I have finally ordered another pantograph for that Class 86, but it's yet to arrive, and I haven't come to a way of removing the original pantograph yet, but I'm sure I'll get around to it. So I've got some extra point work in here, and planning to run down the far side of the station there, nice long sort of terminus route up to the station there. I think that's going to be quite good fun. And this line just runs through here. Another use of flexi there. I think if I could get hold of enough steel track to be confident and not running out, I'd start cutting it. I think that's just a 2 centimetre bit there. So that sort of works. I know my track geometry isn't quite as it should be perhaps sometimes. So, but it all does work. There's been quite a bit of testing. That's where the time's gone, I think, mainly. Another sort of waiting room and a canopy there. So we'll get these platforms populated a bit more with some buildings as time moves on. And the catenary running through one of the lines in the station, as I indicated last week. But I think if we just get to the controller here, we'll give this maroon or crimson class 5 a little bit of power. Perhaps we should just have a look at this tool. I was cutting the flexi track. I got this ages ago. This is recommended by our great model shop. The chaps there, now sadly railway shop closed. I can't remember the name of these offhand. I don't know whether we can see them on there. I'll leave a description or a name in the description box and the brand of those. They really are great things. They're not good for steel track. They won't cut that. You'll damage them. But flexi tracks, nickel track, they cut through just like scissors through paper. They're amazing things. So you definitely get through the rail joiners. I think I probably already said that. Also, I've been using, I should have mentioned a couple of videos back, I've been using these little track screws. Lots of people mentioned when I was making alterations to the old layout that I should try these, and I have. These are absolutely fantastic. Again, in the description box, I'll leave a link to where those can be obtained. They're in various sizes. You're using 6mm on here, and I did get some 8s. They're a little bit long. They're not bad for the catenary masts, and I did get some slightly different diameter ones and length for Hornby 00. They're also very, very good for the Hornby 00 track. So I'm getting very sidetracked here. We'll get back to some power on that controller, I think, and pull this great looking train out of the station. So I'll pull it out from under the canopy there. And I'll just stop that there, and we'll close some points. So we will, I think, inevitably end up with some electrified points on here at some point. Probably just the point I decide to dismantle it. I think this is supposed to be a temporary layout, really, just a little bit of fun while I'm getting everything else in the room sorted out. So let's see if we can give this a little more power. So I'm just reaching backwards for the controller. And we'll just have a quick look at this ad again that we saw earlier from 1970. I believe this was from the Meccano magazine. If we look down here, it says actual size. Now, I've got a piece of the early half sleeper end style System 6 track here, just have a quick look at it. You can see the rail joiners or fish plates are held on. They've got a metal tab bent round and hooked onto the track bed. And then we have gaps between the track bed and the rail all the way along. So later System 6 track, when it switched to whole sleeper ends, I think 1976, I've just got a piece here. When it began to look like that, we lose the gaps under the rails, apart from in one place in each standard section. There you could get the power clip in there, or a clip fit type accessory. So we'll just pop that down for one side there. So I've got a few pieces of this, but not many. It tends to be in quite poor condition, quite bendy it is as well. If we have a look at a couple of pieces, I've got one of these really cute little short pieces there, if that's the right word. I think we call those a quarter straight, but they're quite useful. Again, must have been quite a job to manufacture these and get that little fold under on the rail joiner there. I don't know whether these rail joiners were an item available separately. So if they're anything like the later one, that is actually quite wobbly and loose. So you wonder how well the connection was with these, how reusable it was. So I've got a first radius. So I've got some of this in an early set as well. And again, it has the gap below the rails and the track bed. I don't know whether we can see that. And it was a plated sort of steel, I think. I don't know what it was plated with. I'm not sure it was nickel, it may be tin. But it tends to, like the Super 4 track, it tends to deteriorate over time. So we'll just pop those down before I drop them. And I've got a nice curved point. Now I don't think the curved point came along till 73. So this one's got this rather interesting viewpoint through the mechanism there. You can see that, so you can tell which way the point is thrown perhaps. But I think in this style of point operation, these boxes on the side, I think this plastic blade here is very weak, if you see that. I think once they become bent, you get problems with that. So I've never actually run anything over this track. It just came in with some other items I'd gotten. It was quite interesting. So here is a normal point, or a normal right-hand point, shall we say, a straight one. And it's got those very long blades. But early on, the System 6 track had different blades, but I believe they were having trouble with them. They were removed from the market quite rapidly. So I do actually have one. So if we pop this one down, and we'll just have a look at that. So somebody very kindly offered me this one, asked me if I'd like it, and they kindly sent it to me. So it's rather a nice thing. Lovely period box, piece of sellotape there. It's been crushed over the years by the looks of it. So let's just open it out and we'll have a look at it. This is an early right-hand point with a different style of blade in it. So a piece of the box has come away there. Let's just put that up there. It's one of the end flaps on the box there. I've got some instructions. We'll just pop that down. But there, that's an early System 6 point. And I believe from what I read that they had trouble with the point blades bending, and they weren't very successful early on. But if you look at that, that's quite a beautiful thing, isn't it? Such a shame that they had trouble with it and went over to these cast aluminium blades. I can't quite get that one off the deck there. So they're very pretty things compared to what they went with, and I think they stuck with this quite some time, up into the very late 70s, possibly 80s, when they changed the blades back to metal ones. I've got a contemporary one here. I think this is contemporary. I think that's a fairly newish one. That's a nickel one. you look at that compared to the early System 6 one, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Very, very similar in the thinking on the way the blades move, and then to have had to go back to the aluminium cast blade must have been a bit disappointing in the design department, I think. So let's have a swift look over this instruction sheet. Now I think this covers Super 4 as well. Both points were sold in the same period. Let's just have a look what it says there. Hand operated points, Super 4, System 6, and the points remote control pack. So it covered a number of items. So wiring up the points, and how to wire up a pair of points together. Quite nice information, lovely illustrations. So let's just have a quick look at the other side there. What we've got on here: made in Great Britain, Rovex Tri-ang, printed in England. So all fairly interesting stuff. And I've got a Super 4 point just here as well of the period. So a similar box to the one that this one came in. This one has the System 6 on the back. Sadly, that doesn't have Super 4 on it. And let's just have a look at this. This is a really pretty point. Let's have a look at that. I don't think this has had a lot of action. So I'll just pop that one out of the way. Just have a look at that. So I think that's probably got all of its original plating left intact on that one. So I haven't had the heart to use this one yet, but maybe. A lovely sound. So it's really nice. It'd be lovely to have these available off the shelf in the shop these days. But very lovely thing. So we'll just pop that down and we'll have a quick look over this advert again. So I know I'm going on a bit again, and I promise to keep this video short. We'll just have a look over this. So it says the inexpensive track that gives you true realism. So they're making quite a lot of claims here. Positive track joint, flexible track being introduced, the clip fit feature, and we can still use the magnet adhesion because we've got steel rail. And we've got the use of steel rail with plated steel fish plates. So they plated the fish plates for extra continuity. Sorry about the ambulance in the background. I don't know whether you can hear that. And then the converter track, we saw that a couple of weeks back, didn't we? So that would attach to that. And I think this is quite lovely as well. Tri-ang Hornby, the model railway system designed for the 70s. Lovely statement, that. And there we go. Kindly mention Meccano magazine when replying to advertisements. So I think if we just have a swift look over the 1970 catalogue. Let's see if we can get this into shot. So here we've got the old 1970 catalogue. Got a nice dealer stamp there. Let's just have a look at introducing the new System 6 track. I know we've seen this in a previous video, but there are some of those items just spoken about there on the advert. And there we get these wonderful items, these little cutouts. So the points don't really represent the type of point switch on the side that we eventually got with it in 1970. And there we've got the coarse Super 4 track by comparison. Really is quite different in scale, isn't it? Although scale might be the wrong word. And there's a clip fit. Accessories there available can be used. Accessories for System 6 and for Super 4, and then the universal ones at the bottom there. So I think if we pop that to one side, I'm just coming back to this curved point, and there's something interesting on the back of it. So it's got some interesting wiring there, I think that's original, but I think that changed. This all became embedded in the plastic eventually. But there's some numbering on here. Let's turn this around. We can have a look here. We've got R641, which was the number for the point, but let's see if we get that in the light there, 641, and then 306. Now I think 306 was the number that this might have had when the nickel track or the silver seal track began to be marketed. And I think that was 73, 74 that began to become available. I'm not sure whether it was all available in one go, but fairly interesting. I don't have any of these with nickel track from this era. I think I might have one more contemporary one tucked away in a box somewhere. Just have a quick look at these pages here. These are photocopies, and I think these are really wonderful. So I think these sort of line illustrations or silhouettes of the track, I always thought those are really very, very strong on the page. Lovely images. And there we can see the point numbers here. We've got R640, and I think the one we had there was a 641. But really striking page that from the catalogue. And a little more power, I think, now. And we'll move this train away and we'll work through the curved points and work our way round to what's now the outside line. I've been having quite a lot of fun with this. Not as much progress this week as I would have liked, but I think that may always be the way, never getting quite as much time as you want with the railway. But I have spent a great deal of time just running these around and watching them. It's very enjoyable, very relaxing. But I keep thinking of different things to do. Lovely purr coming from that motor. And I think I said before, I love the sound of the silver seal wheels on this System 6 track. I hope you enjoyed seeing those little bits of System 6 that I have there, and a look at that printed advert from 1970. I don't have many pieces of that track, but I thought it might be worth a look. Storming past the station now, that lovely bright waiting room under the canopy there. Such colourful things, these buildings from this period. And then we've got those lovely Coronation Scott coaches sitting at the station there. A lovely contrast with those bright red buildings. It really is such a colourful period for the model railway, I think, the 70s, although those blue coaches really are from the 80s, aren't they? Round the curves and past that electric locomotive. And we're going to work our way back around and into the station. So we'll come back around the far side of the layout now. And I've closed those points in the background so we don't have any accidents. I really must electrify some of those and assign them point numbers, I think. Then I'll be able to have more fun with it, I think. More fun with electric points. I think that's always going to be the way. And into the station there, alongside the platform, past that waiting room again. And I think that's probably it for this week. Thanks again for watching. It really is hugely appreciated. And thanks again for the comments. I really do enjoy reading those. Goodbye now.